Hey, it's Metal Jesus here, and I did a Q&A recently at Southeast Games Expo Exchange, wherever the hell that is. And you'll see the questions in this video, but there were some that people didn't ask me. Well, certainly not that they were captured on camera, but one was, why do you hang around with a transphobe like Radical Reggie? Why isn't the diet working? Why do you steal Game Boys from little girls? Well, I mean, okay. I once haggled a small girl down to $1 for a Game Boy Advance. But rumors that I like to shove cartridges up Game Boys are unsubstantiated, though. Okay. I also talk about crushes in this. Oh, yeah, like any time I sit down. At the time, Kenzie was groped by drunken Grope Master Paul, and she fell off the couch and broke the GameCube, which I blamed on the HD device connected to it. Even making a video about that. I am such a disgraceful weirdo, that's for sure. But hey, Metal Jesus Live Q&A. This is on my own channel. I can't even put my own name correctly. Metal Jesus Rocks Live Q&A. Where is my head? Where is my mind? YouTube. I talk about YouTube. I talk about Japan. When I needed help to get a new house, and so I just pretended I had a leak in the basement, and I asked you all to give me money, and then I took it and I went and spent it on a trip to Japan with my wife, who hates games and hates me, but puts up with me because I put food on the table somehow. And we went to Japan and bought some games with Kelsey, the one who I think she used to like men, and I don't think she likes men anymore. She didn't like me, that's for sure. She hasn't been in one of my videos for a long time. We talked about gamer eats because I game and God knows I eat. GBA, I think that's some sort of violent thing, I don't know. Sierra, that's the thing where I pretended I used to write games. I don't write games. What did I do there? Oh, I made the tea, that's right. I talk about music when I pretend to like music. I'm going to talk about more. Excuse me. Just so it's not MGR at all. It's I was just possessed by his strange mind there for a minute. Let's just go to his Social Blade page for a minute. He has 882,000 subscribers. Now, if we just scroll down, obviously a lot of people would think, hey, I'd love to get 882,000 subscribers. But this is a point where he really should be cracking 900, and he hasn't done it. I've not looked to see whether Review Tech or Review No Tech USA has topped 1 million yet. Actually, no, let's just do that, because he was always on the verge of it, and then he just didn't fucking bother doing any of it. He just lazy. I just really what's the word? Just rested on his laurels. So check his channel. Oh, he has reached 1 million subscribers. It took him long enough. What's his Social Blade like? I'm not going to bring it up on this particular thing on the screen you're looking at. Put it up on my other PC. When did he reach 1 million? Oh, it doesn't say on here. Just he's had it for a little while, it seems. But anyways, so when we look at MGR though, scroll down. He's stuck on 881, and then he just eventually moved to 882. Eventually got to 1K, but he just struggles because he just hardly puts out any bloody videos. I should reach 883k subs around July 28th. Unlikely, given that he's just so lazy with his bloody content. Struggling to even get 50,000 hits on some days. When you can see with his YouTube analytical history, video views, apart from some peaks, it's slowly going down. The end is nigh for the lazy bastard. Monthly gain subscribers. He had 8,245 there about 3 years ago, and now 2,000. So quarter. He's getting a quarter of what he used to get less than 3 years ago. Oh, I'm a bit tired. Excuse me. Talking of tired. This is a 45-minute video. 45 minutes and 30 seconds. I've not watched any of it apart from just making sure that the audio works. God, look at the pair of them. Yeah, it's I won't put this all in one video. It'll end up being more than one video. It'll stretch to at least 2, maybe it'll be 3. We'll see. Just depends how I go. But excuse me. So yeah, let's just see from the Southeast game, Greenville. Never heard of it. South Carolina. Nothing could be finer. Questions about YouTube likes and dislikes, music recommendations, Sierra plans, making the tea, hated games, questions about Japan, will gamer eats return, do you eat enough, our game character crushes, and much more. Oh, so not what? So he's just simping on anime characters, presumably. But his wife loves that. Anyways, let's just see what Dirgy has to say. Maybe I'll go mad and this will just be one video. We'll see. We'll see what there is to see anyway.
Sure, for now.
All right, well, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no Slim Jim, but I mean, come on, guy. The diet isn't working, is it? Let's just make that full screen there. Just, I mean, the bigger you are, the easier it is to lose weight. I'm no Slim Jim. I need to lose weight, but you know, being obese and then having a goatee, you look fucking ridiculous. It's like goatees, like you're trying to hide something, and people have goatees look a bit like a they look a bit odd, don't they? And if you just got a slight goatee in the middle of a big fat face, it just looks ridiculous. Well, the pair of them look fucking bored to be there for a start. I wonder how much they were paid. Anyways,
Welcome to the Metal Jesus and John Riggs panel.
oh yeah, we're all really rocking. Fucking hell. The mid-50s crew are here. He's a heart attack waiting to... Well, a pair of them are. Heart attack waiting to happen.
Thank you for inviting us to your wonderful state. It's funny, I was telling John, I had no idea what to expect. You know what I mean?
A lot of simps, perhaps.
And it's beautiful here. It's so beautiful. So it's been really fun kind of driving around and taking in some of the sights. So we're happy to be here. So thanks for having us.
Amazing.
So I think today we're just kind of winging it, right? It's kind of what we do.
Winger it.
That's all you ever do for every single fucking video you make.
Having us. So I think today we're just kind of winging it, right? It's kind of what we do.
Winger in it?
Winger in it? Yeah.
Yeah, winger in it.
We had a whole discussion about winger yesterday. That's the thing that happened. Yeah. And
Who?
I defended winger. Yes. So.
You got all the theater questions?
What's that?
Theater questions? Startup questions?
Theater?
The theater.
Theater.
Oh, it's like
Dream theater.
cabaret?
Dream theater.
Why are they holding? Why is he holding a microphone? Couldn't they stretch to having sort of one microphone for the pair of them and put it on the desk? Good lord.
Yeah.
Chicago? Am I going to perform?
We'll do
Yeah, that's true.
we'll do dream theater questions.
Yes, I can all day
You can
long,
answer
by the
those.
way. Yeah, I can totally do that. So I think we're just going to do a Q&A, right? Just kind of...
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe a shout out for Upstate Games.
Oh, yes.
Why just big balls of flab?
An amazing sponsor that made it possible for Riggs and I to come. Upstate Games. They're a vendor here. It's a local retro gaming store. So shout
You make $4,000 to $5,000 a month for through your Patreon, plus whatever you make through YouTube, which according to Social Blade is between £256 and £4K per month, UK pounds. So that's probably about $5 or $6 a month you could be making. Oh, look at that. Subscribers gained. Okay, not lost too much off the views, but subscribers gained a third down what he normally gets. That's really shite.
out to them. Thank you very much for bringing.
But sorry, the point was that he makes $4,000 to $5,000 a month from Patreon alone, plus the YouTube money, and he can't afford his own fucking plane. Good God.
This all the way from the Seattle area, so that's great.
Cool.
Do you want
So
to pass the mic back and forth for anybody asking?
I feel like you should run this. Right? I mean that in the nicest possible. By the way, this is Jerry. It's a friend of mine right here. He runs.
Oh God, tattoos. Oh, why? They look awful. Tattoos look ridiculous at the best of times, but they go, what the fuck are those?
And Puck are admins for the Facebook. If you're part of my Facebook group, Jerry and Puck
No,
are.
I got a HUD now.
No. yeah, because of social media, it's nice to have people that will help you out. So I'm very grateful to you too. So
Well, we have an
thank you.
amazing team.
It's funny because it's been many years and we're finally meeting for the first time. So yeah, it's cool.
2017.
Yep.
Wow, he's so in awe to be in your presence. And why can't they film? He makes a pretty penny out of this. So why can't he just afford a 16:9 camera like normal people? But no, he's got to sort of film it on a mobile phone in a sort of narrow ratio. Oh, what a waste! What a waster.
So I think we'll probably just take you said a leader question.
Well, yeah,
Peter.
just kind of to start things off.
Is that what you said?
Peter question?
I've never heard
Leader
that.
or
You're making that
Peter.
up.
No,
F.
leader
Okay.
or feeder. either one.
F-E-D-E-R.
Not Peter.
No.
That'd be something different.
Peter. Oh, sorry, I misheard.
Would you like a Peter question?
Sure. Peter Parker.
I have a Peter answer. Yeah.
Peter Quill.
God, they're so funny, aren't they? I just laugh and nearly shut myself.
Okay. All right.
So you guys are both incredibly good-sized YouTube personalities.
He's calling us fat.
What do you enjoy most about YouTubing, and what's one thing that you could change?
What do you enjoy most about YouTube? Oh, looking forward to the latest Male Jesus video. What's one thing you wish you could change? Make more than one a month?
If you could, about YouTubing.
Go for it. Sure.
So he can't even think of an answer. He's been doing this for bloody years. He's bored of what he's doing. They're both bored with what they're doing, and they can't even think of a fucking answer. What the fucking hell are they there for?
I'll make up something. Why not? What I love most about it is I love to travel.
I love the money people give me.
So it allows me to travel to conventions, and it gives me a destination to be.
Yeah, that's not through the money you make though. It's just because people pay for your train bus, your fucking plane ticket to be there.
And coming here, we get to run into a lot of the other, people on not just YouTube but all social media, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case may be, whatnot. Now, it allows me to do something for fun. It's show and tell at the end of the day, but it's nice because it allows me to travel to conventions like this and hang out with people like you. That's if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. I'd probably be at home doing
Masturbating.
what I do, just not on YouTube.
Masturbating.
What I can change about YouTube, I'm not sure. I like YouTube in general, or what would I change about my channel?
YouTube in general.
YouTube in general, I would love it if they're really pushing YouTube Shorts, and I would love it if I could do YouTube Shorts on my same channel without throwing off the algorithm of the other videos I'm posting.
You've got over 100,000 subscribers. So he looks like he's looking at me now. JR. You've got over 100,000 subscribers. So how many has he got now? Let's just have a quick check. 1 second. In fact, MGI he's looking at me as if to say, "I wash myself with a rag on a stick." Where's the 142,000 subscribers. That's what John Riggs has got. And yeah, he can't even be bothered to come up with decent answers.
And if it made it its own thing, that'd be awesome, because they're two totally different beasts, but they're feeding the same beast.
So yeah, shorts. I mean, they're largely a pointless endeavour anyway. But people would throw us the algorithm because he doesn't know what to do with my videos. But you got people watching it anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter. Once you got over 100,000 subscribers, people will watch any old shit you put out. That's how you keep growing. It's the same with MJR. He's pushing out a load of shit, and he can barely be asked to put out that shit. The more subscribers you get, the lazier you get. It's just obvious. Well, it's obvious from you two doing fuck all anyway.
So it's one's throwing the other one off and everything.
For me, the thing I love about YouTube is that, it's just an amazing time to be alive where you can be a content creator.
Yeah, alive for now until the heart disease catches up with you.
Of some kind, and have access to put your stuff out there in a way that's pretty much free and accessible to the whole world. And so it's really amazing to be able to do videos that I'm passionate about, things I'm passionate about,
Passionate? You haven't got any passion, that's the trouble.
which is music and video games, and people watch and care. You know, it's amazing to me the fact that this career even exists, and that I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, because it's just stopping you from getting a proper job.
It's amazing because, you know, if you think 20 years ago, would not be possible. If you were to make videos,
Yeah, you'd have to get a proper job.
you'd have to get into the sort of the Hollywood system. You'd have to, you know, you have to be on television or film or something like that. And so YouTube is this great place where everybody can do it.
Yeah.
And cameras are cheap and better than ever before.
And you could buy a decent camera, but instead you got this shitty mobile phone.
I'll do a video on my trip here, and it's 99% of it will be shot with an iPhone, which is amazing, right? So that's really cool. I definitely love that. And some of the things that I don't really like about YouTube, but I think the thing that comes to mind right off the bat is
I've run out of ideas.
that I have no control over it. So while it's really cool that it can be a career, and I'm very lucky to be able to do it, but I have no control over who sees my videos, when they show up on your front page or your suggested. It's one of the reasons why I also focus on social media like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, because at least I have some control over that. Where if you are a subscriber to my channel, you may see my new video, you may not.
Well, if you click on the there's a notified thing, so it's got the ringing bell, then you'll always see them, and they'll come up pretty much when it's due to go live. The only problem is if you put out more than 3 videos a day, because it'll only show 3 videos. It'll show 3 videos max within 24-hour period. There's a really good channel. It must be a group of people doing it. A really good gaming channel called Throneful, as in like a king or queen's throne, and then FUL. And I don't know how they do it. They put out, and they're all in 4K as well these days. They put out 12 videos in every 24-hour period. And there was even one time recently where I forget what the game they were showing was, but they put out a new video every hour. And yeah, it was like 24 videos in 24 hours, but usually it's 12. But even then, my God, it's and these are like usually roughly 20 minutes a time. Sometimes half an hour. Sometimes it might be a much longer video. Sometimes it might only be a couple of minutes. But that's some schedule. That's really good. But this lazy fuck, you just can't even be bothered to put out a video more than once a week. Oh, terrible.
It really depends on the YouTube algorithm, of which I have zero control over.
But it's doing you perfectly fucking well, you useless twat.
So it's kind of a weird. It's a job that it's not for everybody, for sure. You have to really be in it for the long haul.
You need to go out and get a walk every day. In fact, if you just walked to Carolina rather than from Seattle, rather than got a plane there, you might have rather helped you.
Good question. Any other questions about it? Really anything?
No, don't ask him a question, then he can fuck off home.
So.
Kind of a follow-up. What was going through your mind day one? Like, why did you go, I want to put myself up on this platform?
Yeah.
Because it's fucking easy.
So, you know, for me, I've been making home videos for decades. So basically, because I remember renting a VCR recorder when I was in high school. We'd save up $200, you know, mowing lawns, so that me and my buddy could go make stupid little movies in our backyard. And this was in
Which one is he?
like 1988. And then I would edit with 2 VCRs.
I bet his friend just thinks he's a right twat now.
To kind of do the cuts. So I've been really interested in that for a long time. Even when family would fly up to Seattle, we would shoot video, and I would let them leave with a DVD.
I used to use 2 videos at one point. I used to let me see now. There was a time when we used to get films would come out. Obviously, there'd be I might have seen them in the cinema, and then this was like early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. They would come out on video, but they weren't widescreen. They were pan and scan. So the image was basically cropped to 4:3. It was awful. But I knew a guy in Germany where they were all released in widescreen. So I'd get, he'd put the videos, he'd rent the films out, put them on a video for me, and send it over from Germany to the UK. And of course, the problem with, because they're all from Germany, the films were dubbed into German. So what I would do is I'd rent the UK release, and I'd basically replace the audio. So I keep the picture from the German version and replace, copy it from one VCR to another, and replace, sort of swap the audio from one to the other to English. The only problem was that about every 10 minutes it was slightly out of sync. So I basically had to it could run for about 10 minutes, and then I could just had to stop the video and then just kind of resync it, and then start again for another 10 minutes. So quite a very time-consuming process, but it was well worth it in the end. Even if, I must still have those videotapes now, but I've not used a video in a long time.
Their trip. So I've always had a passion for it, and then I got a job in audio production. I worked in a recording studio for a while, and then just kind of came around, and YouTube was possible. So,
God, John Riggs, he's having a fucking heart attack just sitting there. He's exhausted just from sitting down.
I'm the kind of guy who when DVDs were new, I would watch them.
Go on, say DVD Fever. Ha!
Movie with the audio commentary with the director, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I was just like blown away listening to them, how they made those movies. And so I've always been the kind of the analytical guy who looks and so how are they color grading that? Why is James Cameron cutting T2 that way? And so I just kind of applied all that to my own videos and then just rolled it into YouTube. And the other thing too, and I've told people this, that I treated it as a second job. I was working full time in IT.
Doing answering the phones and making the tea for Sierra.
From 8:30 to 5, go home, have dinner, and then I did YouTube until I went to bed.
Yeah, God, imagine that. Imagine having to work for a living. Good Lord.
Every day for years, just to try to kind of see if that was going to be my path or not. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does.
Yeah.
As a fellow fan of DVD commentaries.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great.
Mine's not as in depth. Mine was I didn't have a channel until we went to the same conventions in the Northwest, and it was after a while. That's when Jason said, "Oh, you know a lot about Japanese Famicom games. You want to be on my channel
And
talk about
wrestling."
them?" And wrestling is like, sure, I can talk about that all day.
Has he been speeded up? Is that what he normally talks?
So I did that for a while, and then I didn't really watch YouTube for shows at the time. But then when I saw what he did, I was like, well, I can probably do something like that. I come from a radio background.
But thanks to the radio, he's got the face for radio anyway. But yeah, obviously with MJR's giving him a leg up, people have floated over onto his body as well.
I know I have a stuttering problem and I'm in radio. How'd that work out? It's applying the same radio philosophy as it is with YouTube and editing. And I'm our audio producer for our radio stations. And editing audio is the same as editing video. It's just there's another track, which is the video portion of it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do something with this. And same as I just use my phone forever. And so at the time I was just like, oh, I can do this.
Right.
So I did just for fun, and I use it more as a way for back in those days, and still today. But I was making my own hacked NES games and putting them on physical cartridges and how to do repros and stuff like that.
Oh, he's just being very, very dodgy about selling illegal copies of games.
And noticing that there was no tutorial on the internet in layman's terms. It was all very technical and I'm like, that's not me. I know how to do puzzles, but I couldn't tell you what each little thing does.
And the biggest puzzle is, how come he's so big on YouTube?
Voltage or anything like that. I didn't know any of that. So I was like, I can use my YouTube video. I can make the videos of, look, here's how I do it, and I'm a very visual learner, so never mind reading something on a blog. I'll make a visual, step-by-step, here's how I do this thing. And then from there, that's when my channel started going, and started reading the comments, and just starting having fun with it, and just experimenting along the way.
And obviously it takes some sort of helium while he goes.
See what happens. That's about it. Next.
Nope.
Right over here.
So there's a TV show you might have heard of, Stranger Things. They put a spotlight on Master of Puppets in Metallica recently.
I say I've never watched Stranger Things. I saw people mention the. I was alive. Well, obviously I was alive. I was a kid, I was about 13, I think, 12, 13, when Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill came out, and I heard it was in the programme, and someone told me where to find the clip, because the song just went to #1 after it was on Stranger Things, first time since it came out. I mean, I watched the clip, don't know who the girl is, but she just ends up running along in the red mist or the dark or whatever it is. It's alright. It's a great song, but for for a TV clip, it's alright. It's no biggie. It's not the kind of show that really interests me, though.
So a lot of people are starting to kind of dip their toe into metal. What are some other albums, some that are well known and some that maybe that aren't well known, that you would suggest to people that are just getting into metal?
That's all you.
Hey, well, you could buy all my albums, all my Metal Jesus Rocks albums, and also buy DJC Game Studios with I Want My Amico going straight in at number 37.
Yeah, that's quite the question. And I think it's really cool.
Introduction to metal, huh?
Yeah, actually, speaking of the Stranger Things, I haven't seen season 4 yet, but the two things that are
Someone give him a spoiler. Give him a spoiler.
really cool I've heard about that is that you're right that Master of Puppets by Metallica is like #1 or it's in the top 10 again, which is great. That album came out in the 80s. But even more impressive is the Kate Bush Running Up That Hill, which is a great song. And it took 37 years from release for it to hit #1. It broke a world record, and I love that song too. So it shows
I love that song ever since I heard about it last week.
the power of putting a great song into something like that. Which it's funny you mentioned that because I was watching Stranger Things. I was like, gosh, their budget for licensed music, it must be out.
See, sorry, John Riggs, is he having like a cup of English tea, holding up his little pinky finger like that? Oh God.
Outrageous because you hear songs in there that no other show does, and they just do it one right after the other. I mean, it's super expensive. So, for when it comes to metal music, as you know, or maybe I don't know if you know this, but it starts back in the 70s or maybe in the late 60s with bands like Black Sabbath and things like that. So all the way up through the 80s and 90s and such. So off the top of my head, obviously Master of Puppets is my favorite. That album is my favorite Metallica album. Ride the Lightning is also very good. Some newer stuff, I'm a huge fan of Ghost. I don't know if I'd call them metal, but they are definitely rock. Fantastic band, brand new, newer band. I'm a big fan of Dream Theater. Dream Theater is kind of Metallica. It's progressive metal. It's Metallica meets Pink Floyd, probably. And so, Images
That actually sounds quite good.
and Words is a great place to start there. Metal, Judas Priest, you can't go wrong with that sort of stuff. Like Screaming for Vengeance, it's speaking of like Scorpions, some of that old sort of hard rock. Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power is one of my favorite metal albums. It's funny, my wife is a real estate agent, but she's a metal drummer. So she dresses up, she drives a Lexus, right? But she'll pull up to a listing, and during summer, she's cranking Walk by Pantera, and her clients are like, and she gets out, she's 5'1", she's in a business suit, she's gonna show the house, and
I can sort of attest to that. I remember there was like a place I once worked at for a short time near me, and we used to. There were some days we had to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and like a lot of jobs. And I would drive there, and in the last, I don't know, it was not rock radio, or it might be, what was it called? Oh God, Rock FM. I think it was just called Rock FM. It's no longer around, sadly. I think even then, towards the end, it just kind of fell apart because the decent channels get taken over by shit channels like XFM Manchester. There was also an XFM London and one somewhere else. They just got taken over by sort of it just became a generic XFM across the whole lot, and all the programming that made it local just got thrown away, and they just had bloody Chris Moyles, fat useless fuck, on the breakfast show. But yeah, Rock FM. I don't know what it became because I wasn't listening to a lot of it by then. But for this time, this was between 2011 and 2012. For this time, while I was listening to it, there were a couple of times when they played Metallica's One, which is a great song, right up to, I think it's about 7 or 8 minutes long, and they played it in full right up to 8 o'clock, bang on 8 o'clock. And yeah, I just it came on just as I was driving into work, and I stayed in the car to listen to it, which is rather a bit unfortunate, because then I got into work and they weren't very impressed, because by the time I then got to my computer and logged on, etc., I was now late for work. So, but still, worth it.
It's just hilarious, right? She also loves Bullet for My Valentine, it's the classic sort of stuff like that. So, but metal is a huge genre that covers many, many subgenres, whether it's grindcore, industrial, thrash. I could mention Slayer, Testament, stuff like that. I could talk a lot about it for a while. So.
Please don't.
I listen to, as much as I talk about video games on my channel, I actually listen to music all the time. If anybody's ever been to my house,
It's always playing.
it's always playing. I have little Apple mini pod speakers all throughout my house, and I just basically say, hey, Siri, whatever, to just play. You can tell her what room, she can follow you around. It's what I do. So yeah, and I listen to not only metal, but I also listen to jazz. I'm really big into Bill Evans, Dave Brubeck. I listen to pop. I'm a child of the 80s, so.
What about some Des O'Connor?
You mentioned an 80s pop band, Journey, all that sort of stuff. I know every
The 70s Journey.
word that there is. And I'm a huge music fan, so, even
You're huge, yes.
classical and stuff, so I can talk your ear off.
Music and cars, yeah.
Yeah, and cars is
Oh.
started in cars, so I love cars.
I got nothing. Next question is mine.
Well, but you work at a radio station.
I do work at a radio station, which means my entire musical experience and knowledge comes from songs that play on the radio. Outside of maybe a few, like In Excess was my favorite band.
So you probably get to have some input of playing the odd song, whereas the rest of it you'll just be playing all the shit that you have to play just to earn a crust.
When I was growing up. So outside of that, all my experience comes from radio.
Yeah.
It says it's whatever we're playing. I can tell you about that. There's a new band that we're just now playing called Giovanni and the Hired Guns that kind of has that throwback, like early 2000s vibe. So I'm digging them right now, but yeah, I don't think I would consider it metal. It's almost like country rock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Has a little vibe to it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned children of the 80s. I was talking to my wife the other day. I think there's a phenomenon here with music and games
Yeah.
where my parents came from Sinatra and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And their grandparents.
Let's just rewind that a bit.
I don't think I would consider it
They
like
can't.
early 2000s.
They can't even be bothered to just put the. Should have done that a while ago. They can't even be bothered to just put the whole question on the screen.
So I'm digging them right now, but yeah, I don't think I would consider it metal. It's almost like country rock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Has a little vibe to it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned children of the 80s. I was talking to my wife the other day. I think there's a phenomenon here with music and games
Yeah.
where my parents came from Sinatra and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And their grandparents came from being and that kind of stuff. But once you're children of the 80s, we relate to the younger kids because they resample our stuff all the time.
Oh, sure.
They're like
Yeah.
going off on it. I'm like, what are you doing? How do you know that? You're stealing from us.
Well, and I could go old man on you here and sort of, new music versus old. I mean, I will say though, that I think, from a musician standpoint, one of the amazing things when you look back at the 80s and also the 90s is that those bands, for the most part, knew how to play their instruments, wrote their own music, and performed them live. And that is something that is incredibly rare even today, right? And, like for instance, the band Toto, with Roseanne and African, all these sort of songs. When you listen to those songs even today, they were recorded extremely well. They sound great in your car when you're cruising down the road, even today. And they're amazing musicians. They're, the guitarist for Toto is the guitarist who played on Michael Jackson's Thriller. Most people don't know that. They were session musicians at the time, played on tons of great albums in the 80s. And so we're very lucky to like that music. And it's wild that younger kids are being gravitating to it as well. Back, maybe 10 years ago, I was like, oh, this is because of rock band.
God, he's very boring, isn't he? I mean, I've been in bars in town where one of the big hits with the youth of today is Toto's Africa, which I absolutely loved when I was a kid. When did that come out? 84? It goes from Toto 4. Controversial because for whatever reason they put that down as the last track on side 2, and it became a #1 hit. So you ended up with a very rare and very ill-advised thing to do. You wouldn't do it normally, of putting a #1 single at the end of side 2. You'd normally put it at the start of side 1. Then again, if you put it at the start of side 1, you end up people sort of play one song and then don't listen to anything else. But yeah, the end of side 2, that's odd. But yeah, absolutely banging tune then, and I love it now. So that's Toto Africa, if you don't know it already. And if you've not heard it, listen to it, and then also look up Toto Africa Flopotron, where there's some bloke he's got 3.5-inch floppy disk drives, loads of them, somehow playing Toto's Africa, and he's got many other songs on his YouTube channel as well. That's it's quite something. I recommend that.
Remember, Rock Band was getting all sorts of people into younger people playing, getting into instruments and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have younger children. I have they're 17, 15, and 14 now. My youngest two are 11 months apart, so there's Irish twins. And it's all thanks to, nowadays, I usually listen to like...
Are they all his?
Whatever 80s channel, when I'm driving. Also ironic, I'm a radio DJ.
Then again, it looks like he was created in a lab anyway.
But I have a subscription to Sirius XM, so there's that. Because they have I do a lot of traveling, so driving, so 90s, 80s, 90s, and everything. But some random song will come on, my kids will start singing to it. And I was like, how do you know this song? You don't know nothing about this song. They saw it on TikTok. So all of these TikTok music videos and all these, everything's all chiming together. And so since they're like always running through TikTok and they keep on recycling all these old songs. Well, the same thing that happened with Running Up the Hill.
Yeah.
The same thing with Journey's, was it Don't Stop Believing, the last episode of The Sopranos.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like everything retro becomes new again, to these kids. And it's like, it's been around a minute, So, I mean, with my kids especially, they're hearing about all these old songs, and not just popular songs too, but I mean, my oldest right now is really into Earth, Wind, and Fire of all bands, which is cool because I dig that kind of groove sound. So it's hard to say, and I'm cool with it,
Do you remember?
Casey and Sunshine, yes or no?
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
love disco.
Because
Casey and the Sunshine Band, give it up. MJR, please do give it up.
I was born in '71, so I was at that age where disco, I didn't know it wasn't cool at the time, So, kids had their I Was Made for Loving You. I was like, I love that song, but then Casey and the Sun. Do you remember K-Tel Records, right?
Yeah.
At the time, would have, it was kind of like What's Music Now or whatever.
Oh, sure. That's what I call music.
Yeah. So K-Tel was the thing back in the day. So I remember, I think my uncle bought me a K-Tel. It had Diana Ross on it. It had Kiss. It had Casey and the Sunshine Band. All that sort of stuff. And me and my cousin loved it. So yeah.
Got two over here.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
No, Lady Ray.
Oh, thank you. Hey, huge fan of the shows, but you work with Sierra Games.
I did.
And with Ken and Roberta. Do you
He made the tea.
consult with them regularly? Do y'all see it?
Working on something new, my ass.
Yeah, so recently, so the answer is to not really, because what happened was that Ken and Roberta sold Sierra back in like 96 or something like that, and I stayed until I think 98 or something. So it was basically after they had sold Sierra to the other company, and they sold it and they basically walked away from the video game industry. They bought a boat and they traveled the world for years, and so nobody heard from them. They were just around the world on this big yacht, trying, because they worked so hard building their company in the 70s and 80s, and I think they were burned out. It was ready for them to enjoy.
Talking about burned out, that's you, that is.
Enjoy the fruits of what they built. And then what happened was that my buddy Paul and I, Drunken Master Paul, who is one of the people who I met when I was working at Sierra, one of many people, but we decided to do a video, this is probably like 4 years ago, kind of like the rise and fall of Sierra, to try to basically tell the story of what happened with Ed. And I did it completely just me and Paul, and we just wanted to talk about it. And the video did extremely well, but Ken emailed me, and he was like, "You got it right." And I was like, "Oh, I did, cool," you know, because he was nowhere to be found, and you know, and I just took my own experience, and we showed party footage and all this sort of stuff. But I was like, "Hey Ken, if you ever get back into Seattle, you know, come on and hang out sometime," you know. So anyways, long story short, his marketing people contacted me last year. They're like, "Hey, Ken is now getting serious during the pandemic to start coding again and get into that ball game. Are you interested in
Making the tea.
and hanging out with them and kind of getting the exclusive?" So I was like, "Hell yeah, you know, that'd be great to do." So flew down to Palm Springs, hung out with them for about 4 or 5 days, and just had an amazing time kind of reconnecting with them, you know. Because when I worked at Sierra, it was like 1,100 employees. And so Ken and Roberta were just way up here. We were in the same building and you'd bump into them, but, you know, I was a low guy on the totem pole, right? And so it was just kind of this great thing. And it was funny because we hung out at
And now he's bigger than Jesus.
their house, and the number one thing they want to talk about was YouTube.
Oh.
How does the YouTube work? You know, how do you get paid? How does this work? You know, that sort of stuff. But it was amazing. It was great to be. And they were also too, because they were so out of the loop when it comes to the gaming. They didn't think anybody cared. Because what had happened was at the end of the '90s and the 2000s. Most people kind of just forgot about PC gaming and Sierra and stuff like that. It moved on to other companies, and so they didn't think anybody cared, you know. And then they come back last year and the last couple of years, and they see all these people who are like, "Oh my God, old Sierra games. We love that stuff." And they were so excited about that, to sort of see the love for that stuff. So,
Decent question.
What are you both currently playing right now? Because you're traveling, so I know you must
Playing with each other.
have brought your Switches
Oh, yeah.
or